This is part 2 of the chapter 4 review for 4th grade. So, for some reason this one didn't record, so I'm going to just start and go through the problem. So a group of 140 tourists are going on a tour. The tour guide rents 15 vans. Each van holds 9 tourists. So the first part tells us to write a division problem. And we do have 3 numbers, but to help us figure out which ones to divide, we're taking these 140 tourists and we're splitting them into groups of 9 tourists. Notice that I am splitting the tourists into groups of tourists. So that's why I'm doing 140 divided by 9. And when I do that answer, I get 15 remainder 5. Now part B says, what does this remainder mean in this problem? Well, that remainder of 5 tells me that 5 people won't fit. So then on part C it says, how can you use your answer to determine if the tour guide rented enough vans? Well, we rented 15 vans, but we need 16, so we did not rent enough. All right, question 8 is a matter of looking at the basic fact. Remember, when we are multiplying or dividing by hundreds and tens, we look for the basic fact first, which is 32 divided by 8. I know that that is 4. And since I'm in the hundreds, I'm putting 2 zeros, so it makes 400. The next one, question number 9, which quotients are equal to 300? Again, I am looking for the basic fact. The basic fact is 12 divided by 4, which is 3, and we're in the hundreds, so 2 zeros. So yes, that one works. I will mark it. B, 180 divided by 9. Well, I know my basic fact is 18 divided by 9, which is 2. Add my 0, so 20. That one doesn't work. 24 divided by 8 is 3, so I can add my 2 zeros since we're in the hundreds. Basic fact 21 divided by 7 is 3, so I can add my 0. So I can see that both of those ones work, so I'm going to mark them. Basic fact 9 divided by 3 is 3 with 1 number behind. And basic fact 3 divided by 3 is 1 with 3 zeros behind since we're in the thousands place. So I've marked the 3 that are equal to 300. The next one, Margo estimated 188 divided by 5 to be between 30 and 40. Which basic facts did she use to help her estimate? Well, the easiest thing that you can do here is figure out, so we have 188 divided by 5. 5 times something makes 30. Well, I know that 5 times 3, so I'm going to look at 5 times 3 is 15. So that's what my basic fact is. 5 times 4 is 20, so my basic fact is 15 and 20. So you're just multiplying the 5, the divisor, by the 2 quotients and looking for that basic fact. Now this is Matthias and his brother divided 2,029 marbles equally. Now the biggest mistake I see here is you might see something like so-and-so and their 3 sisters. That actually means there's 4 people. Well, Matthias and his brother means that there's 2 people there. They divided 2,029 marbles equally. So I'm dividing them by 2. But then if I keep reading, it says about. I'm not finding the real answer. I'm estimating. So you need to make sure when it says about that you round that number first. So I'm going to round 2,029 to the nearest 1,000, which is 2,000 divided by 2. Basic fact 2 goes into 2 one time, so it makes 1,000. Now the next problem, the way that distributive property is supposed to work is the first number in each of parentheses, if you add those up, they should equal 132 divided, or 132. Using distributive property the right way, you should also look to see if they're divisible by 6, because otherwise, if the numbers you split it into are not divisible by 6, it's really making it harder. So 115 plus 17 is 132, so I'm going to mark that one. 100 plus 32 is 32, I'm going to mark it. 90 plus 42 again is 132, and 72 plus 60, if I add those together, is 132. So on this case, they all do work. So you're going to check to see if these numbers add up to 132. Now the next one, there are 136 people waiting for a river raft ride. Each raft holds 8 people. Sylvia used the work below to find the number of rafts needed. Well, we can see this is, think about putting money in the bank. This is your partial quotients. So if I take out 80, then I know that that is 10 groups of 8. So I'm going to put 10 over here in my bank. And then if I take out 56, that is 7 groups of 8, because 7 times 8 is 56. And then I add up what's in my bank, so my answer is 17. Excuse me. Number 14. A traveling circus brings along everything it needs for a show in big trucks. Part A says that the circus sets up chairs in rows of 9 seats in each row. How many rows will be needed to be set up if 513 people are expected to attend the show? So I'm going to do 513 divided by 9. 9 cannot go into 5, but it can go into 51 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45, so I subtract to get 6, and I bring down my 3. 9 goes into 63 7 times, and there's nothing left over, which means I have 57 rows. And I know that. I should finish this up. So there's 0. Now the next part's a little bit tricky. Can you divide the rows into any number of equal sections? Well, this one's a little bit tricky because we haven't quite covered factors and divisibility yet, but some good ones to try. Always try and see if it's divisible by 2, by 3, or by 4. Those are your basic ones, and those are the ones you're going to need to check for your test. So I know for sure that this one is not divisible because it's not even, and I know that 4 is not divisible because it's not even. So I'm going to check 3. 3 goes into 5 one time. With 3, subtract, I bring it down the 7. 3 goes into 27 9 times. With 27, so there's nothing left over, so it goes in 19. So that means, yes, it can be divided into 3 equal sections. Okay, circus horses eat about 250 pounds of food each week. About how many pounds of food does a circus eat each day? Well, I know what it's asking me to do is 250 divided by 7, but since I have this word about, I'm going to round. Now, we don't just follow normal rounding rules when we're dividing. We round this to something that is divisible by 7. So I know that 25 is not divisible by 7, but I know that 21 is, so I can do 210 divided by 7, which my basic fact tells me is 3, add my 0, 30. Or I could have rounded up to 280 divided by 7, which is 40. Number 15. Hilda wants to save 825 digital albums or digital photographs in an online album. Each folder of the album can hold 6 pictures, 6 photographs. She uses division to find out what she'd have. So we're going to go ahead and divide. 1 goes into 8, or 6 goes into 8 one time with 6. When I subtract, I have 2 left over. So 6 goes into 22 3 times with 18. Subtract, I have 4 left over. Bring down my 5. 6 goes into 45 7 times with 42, which is 3 left over. Now, once I've solved it, then I'm going to come back to the question, in what place is the first digit of the quotient? Well, my first digit of my quotient is in the hundreds place. All right, next, when you have a number line and you're trying to match it to a division problem, you look for 2 things. The first thing, your dividend should be where your number line ends. Your divisor is how many lines or how big is your jump. So if we look at this one here, we have 72, so that means it's either going to be B or D. I'm going to count the little lines on the jump. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that I am doing 72 divided by 4, which is B. On this one I have 60, so it's either going to be divided by 5 or divided by 4. So once again, count my tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, which means I have 60 divided by 4, which is C. Now these ones should be obvious, but we're going to check them anyway. So this one I have 72, because that's where my number line ends, divided by, I'm going to look at how little my jumps are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 72 divided by 6, when I check, that is one of my options. And we'll just check this one just to make sure. So 60 is my dividend, because that's where my number line ends, divided by 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm dividing by 4, which is C. Nope, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My apologies, 5, which is A. All right, popcorn was donated for the school fair by 3 different vendors. They donated a total of 636 bags of popcorn. Each vendor donated the same number. So when you see same number, that should tell you to divide. 3 goes into 6 2 times. With 6, I subtract to get 0. 3 goes into 3 1 time. With 3, I subtract to get 0 again. Bring down my 6. 3 goes into 6 2 times. With 6, bring down my 0, or subtract to get 0. So I have 212 bags. All right, partial quotients. When you see this partial quotient, so this tells us a lot of information. On the right side of this, we are just telling us how many groups of 8 we're taking out. Well, we can see that we're taking out 100 groups of 8. And over here, I'm taking out 4 groups of 8. Now on this side, on the left side, is where I do the multiplication. 100 groups of 8 is 800. So when I subtract that, I have 32 left over. And then 4 times 8 is 32. Subtract, and I have 0 left over. Now to finish this up, we just add up what's in our bank here. 100 plus 4 is 104. All right, Zach needs to divide these base 10 blocks into 3 equal sections. So I'm going to draw my 3 groups. And when I'm splitting this up, first I can see that I can give everybody a 10. Now, I only have 1 10 left, so I can't give everybody a 10 anymore. So I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to actually regroup it into 10 ones. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now that I have all these ones, now I'm going to start splitting those up into my group. So here's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm crossing them out as